Hey, it's Amelia. I'm back from school, so I'm able to film now. Today's December 19th, and I'm filming my Pan That Palette finale only because I know I'm not going to make any more progress. So I'm going to try and make this quick. I'm going to compare everything to my intro because I haven't filmed an update since like September or August for YouTube. So starting with the Naked palette. This is how much I've got done. I have a new editing software that lets me put pictures in my videos, so if this isn't showing up properly, I will have a picture in the corner. So as you can see, I finished everything from Virgin all the way to Smog. And it took me a while actually to get this far. Dark Horse is popping out because I'm only temporarily keeping it in here. There's a piece of tape holding it. I use it in my everyday makeup palette, which is this one, so I had it depotted, so it's just sort of sitting in here. I wanted to finish Dark Horse this month, but I don't think I'm going to be able to. If anything, I might be able to clear out this little edge right there where it's sort of curved up. I might be able to make it flat across the top, but that's about as far as I'd be able to get with this. In the beginning, I noted my favorites with gold tape, and I wanted to talk about how that's changed. So, in the beginning, I had Sidecar, Half-Baked, Smog, and Toasted marked. I kept Sidecar and Smog labeled, but Toasted, which is this pink one here, and Half-Baked, which was a gold, I took the tape off of because I realized they're warmer than what I'm into now. I finished Half-Baked by mixing it with the silver in my Naked 2 palette, which is this one, and I ended up finishing that using it as a lid shade and as a face highlight, so I'm really happy with that. Generally speaking, I don't like the shades on the end here unless they're in the outer corner. So for example, I don't like Toasted all over the lid anymore, but I did an eye look at one point where I put a really light peachy shade on the lid, and I had that in the outer corner, and it looked really beautiful. It was like a pretty peachy eye look, which I rarely do, so I was happy that I had a shadow that would work for that. But in terms of using the entire eyeshadow in more than one way, I don't really have that with this eyeshadow. Like, we just don't have that kind of relationship, I guess. And the same with Hustle and Gunmetal. Hustle on the lid is fine, but it's just like too purple for me, and it's not the kind of purple I like. And then Gunmetal is a blue, and I just don't like blue. Creep, I think I talked about it in other updates, is just a dumb eyeshadow. It's like a dark gray shimmer that is like, has a blue tone to it, and then it has glitter. It's like, I don't know what to do with that. So it didn't work well as setting my liner or as a liner. I don't care for it all over the lid. I'm actually really fond of how Dark Horse, if I put it over a eyeshadow primer, it brings out the shimmer, and then I can put a similar shimmer like Smog, but also a dupe I have of Smog that I've been using is Anastasia Chiffon, and that's really pretty. But then I can also take it over just my regular primer and blend it out on the lid, and it becomes just a dark brown without shimmer, which I did today, and then put glitter on. So I like that Dark Horse is a little versatile in that way. And a lot of the shades have this similar formula of like almost a satin to shimmer formula, but then infused with glitter, like micro glitter. So there are a few in here that could have had a similar use doing that, I guess. It's pretty much the same formula as Creep, but Creep is like not a good color combination for that unless it's something you're into. Generally speaking about the Naked palette, this was my first high-end palette, and I loved it, and it taught me how to do makeup, and I'm really grateful that I was able to finish almost 2/3 of it. If I had finished Dark Horse, it would have been 2/3. But as I talked about in a video that I made over the summer about why I'm not doing Pan That Palette next year, I started panning this after I was already transitioning out of liking warm tones, or at least I'm transitioning into a period of time where I'm only all about cool tones. And I am frustrated that all these shades that I used to love, I was sort of forcing myself to use during a time where I don't like them. Also, I wanted to touch on packaging because this is something that has come up before when I pan palettes. Packaging does not last long. I don't know if it's just me or if this is just a thing that happens, but in the beginning, my packaging was like a dark brown and it had most of the gold on it, and it was sort of coming apart, so it looked like intentional cracking of the foil, which I thought was pretty. And now it's covered in like dust and like I think it's cotton from my cotton rounds. The edges are really gross now. On the inside, also I noticed when I depot shadows, I like use alcohol to loosen the glue, and I noticed where all the alcohol touched this paper, it turned green, which is gross. I was surprised that this foil stayed on, except for where my thumb goes, because I'm left-handed, so I use this hand for the brush, and then I hold my thumb on the D in Naked. So the packaging is just kind of ugly now. I don't know what I want to do with the rest of the shades in here because I thought about giving them to a friend, but I almost feel like I still want to pan it and get the satisfaction of finishing a Naked palette. But at the same time, I don't want to have it sitting around in my collection, and I wish that I could have had the the experience of finishing another palette and have it leave my collection, because basically a year of panning this and it's just going back into my collection, but this time as a quint instead of a palette. And if I finish Dark Horse, then it's just like an oversized quad of eyeshadows. I don't plan to ever finish Creep or Gunmetal really, but I would like to try to hit pan on Toasted and maybe Hustle at some point. And I want to finish Dark Horse. So I still have stuff that I want to use out of this, but I don't want to do that right now. I'm just a little like unsure of what I want to do with this. And I'm a little sad that I feel like my feelings towards the palette and my taste in eyeshadows has made it so even if I were to finish it, the positive feelings that I would have about finishing a palette wouldn't be as strong, because it would have been not painful, but like not fun to finish. So like I guess that's my problem with Pan That Palette for me now, is that I end up picking things that I don't really love, and then when I pan them it's not fun. So then when I finish it I'm like, why did I do that, you know? But I do like Dark Horse and Toasted and Hustle and Gunmetal when I use them in a specific way. And I'm glad that I have all of the shades I really liked, which are Sidecar and Smog, gone. And then I actually did like Naked, which was the light brown, and Sin and Virgin I liked. Virgin, I think I said that wrong. I really liked a lot of the shades that were in the front of the palette, the leftmost side. So I'm glad that I finished them, but I just wish that I had panned it earlier, I guess, because it's not Pan That Palette that's the problem. It's how I choose my Pan That Palette. Moving on to the Naked 2, I'm actually glad I didn't finish panning this because I really love this palette. The quality is not there, and I think it's partially because it's old. I got the Naked palette as a Christmas gift for 2013, which would make it 5 years old this Christmas. So in about 6 days, this is going to be 5 years old. I got this in the spring of 2014. So I got this in winter 2013, and then I got this in the spring, and I bought this at the same time as the Naked 3. A lot of people talk about how with the Naked palettes, prior to them becoming more obsolete within the community of makeup in terms of quality level and all that, everyone talks about how everybody has their Naked palette, and it used to be for me this one, but it has become the Naked 2. And I don't like the Naked 3. The Naked Heat is like my worst nightmare. It's just all orange and red. But I wish that I could get some of these shades in better quality. To start off the year, I had finished Foxy and Blackout. So those were already gone. And then I hit pan on, I already had pan on Booty Call, Snakebite, and Suspect, which were this one and these two. I don't think I mentioned, for the Naked palette, I had pan in Virgin, Naked, and Smog, I think. And I had a little bit of a dip in Creep and maybe some of the other ones. But I only had pan in 3 shades. And now I have 7 empty and 1 with major pan. So for this palette, I had finished 2 and hit pan in 3. Now I have an extra 1, 2. Oh, I guess I only finished 2 extras in here. That's sad. But I did finish half of Suspect and half of Verve. In the beginning of the year, for my labeled favorites, I put Half Baked, Snakebite, Suspect, Pistol, and YDK. So this one, which still has a label, Snakebite, Suspect, which I took the labels off, Pistol, which I took the label off, and YDK. And what's funny is I was just rewatching my intro, and I said that the only reason I didn't put labels on Verve and Busted is because they were boring, and I basically loved this palette for the lid shades that I loved. And I think it's funny that now I've taken the labels off of all the lid shades and I put them on these two. Because I noticed that first I love silver, and I didn't realize how much I love silver until this year. But also, anytime I do a cool tone look, I want a silver in the inner corner. And then Busted, I realized I loved it because on days where I wasn't using my Naked palettes and I was like cheat day eyeshadow days, if I was doing cool toned eye looks with other palettes, I didn't have anything to put in the outer corner that was cool toned. So I would actually pull for this palette, and I grew an appreciation for this. I think it's a cool tone brown to the point where it has purple to it, and depending on how you use it, you can either make it look more or less purple. And I really love this kind of shade, so I actually bought something similar in the Anastasia formula to put in my custom palette. YDK was my favorite eyeshadow from this palette until I realized that it wasn't the formula I remember it being. I don't know if it's that I used to think it was the best eyeshadow because I didn't have anything better, or if the quality has gone down, or maybe a combination of both. But my new favorite eyeshadow that is similar but a little different from this would be Anastasia Pink Champagne, which is a little warmer, I think, but they're still both like cool tones. And then Cosmetic Chaos, I think. I don't remember what her first name is. I'll link her. She told me, I commented on one of her videos talking about how mine was like really shitty now. And she told me I should try repressing it and see if that works. So I might do that and see if that is better, because like looking at it, this looks beautiful. And like I want to put it on my eyes, but I know it's not going to look like that. Tease, I said I didn't like in my intro because of the formula, which is true. But I actually really like the color. It's like a taupe purple or like a gray with a lot of purple. And it's really pretty. But I haven't found a dupe for it. And you would think there would be a really close dupe. But all the dupes I see online are like not similar at all. So, or they're like really warm but still like purple. It's like weird. So I would really like to find a dupe for that one. And by the end of me working on it, I was like, oh, I actually really like this eyeshadow. As far as Suspect and Snakebite go, and Pistol, I like them. I just didn't have enough time to use them. And I'm glad that I have them now to work on them. Chopper is still one of the ugliest eyeshadows I've ever seen in my life. I'll swatch it for you. And if you like warm tones, you're going to be like, that doesn't make any sense. And maybe you'll be a little offended, but I really hate it. And I guess swatching it on my hand, it doesn't look as bad, but it's basically an orange, but like a little cool toned. I think it's supposed to be a cool toned copper. And on my hand, it kind of looks a little peachy, but I tried using it as blush at one point to see if like I could bring out the peach in it, and it just looked orange and gross. So that eyeshadow is going to die, and I'm just going to let it expire. I don't even care. I did, before this year, I would scrape layers off the top to mix with other shadows. So I do have progress on it from like 2017 and 2016. And someone had commented in a previous update that I could mix Chopper with Gunmetal because it's like an orange and a blue. And that might work, but for me to get to the point where I would want to do that, I would have to finish all of my other eyeshadows in my collection to even care enough to want to mix them together. So I think I'm just going to let them expire because, as I've talked about and as a lot of people have talked about, you can't stop products from expiring in your collection. You really just have to be strategic about which ones are going to expire and which ones you're going to get use out of. And I'm honestly sick of panning old eyeshadows, because that means I'm making the decision to give my other eyeshadows permission to expire on me. Whereas I'd rather say, Chopper's ugly and it's going to expire and I don't care. So that's sort of the mindset I'm in. And it's not that there's a lot of eyeshadow. I could probably do one more year and finish a lot of those in between those two palettes. But I just don't want to because I have so many better eyeshadows that are newer. I wanted to quickly mention that I'm really annoyed that my side hair is like really annoying in this video, and I'm sorry. Also, I wanted to talk about how I predicted it would take me a year just to get through the 3 matte shades, Naked, Buck, and Tease. And I was right. I think I finished Buck this month. So it really did take me an entire year to get through them. So I really do not want to pan Urban Decay mattes for a very long time. And I just thought I should mention that. Going into my single shadows, I had a little bit of pan in all of them. So this is what they look like now. This one is Midnight Cowboy Rides Again. I've hit side pan here, and I have a big dip in it going around. I have a lot of pan. I really like this one. This is like more cool toned, and I really like it with the Naked 2. So that's a good pairing. I've been using Midnight Cowgirl for a while now as my inner corner highlight. This had the same type of pan as this one. It like had side pan and then a dip going across. But then I broke it on camera actually. I tried to film an update like a month ago and it just didn't work out. But so I had to repress it, and now I'm sort of working on the top here. I have a lot of pan in it, so I'm really happy with that. And I would like to finish this at some point. This I got in July of 2014. And then along with this one, Midnight Cowboy Rides Again, I got Twice Baked, which also now has a bit of it has side pan and a bit of a dip, but not as much as the other two. I got this one and the other one in, what was it? For Christmas 2015. So they are turning 3 this year. And I didn't get through them as much as I wanted to, but I had, for the 2 lighter shades, I had to finish Virgin Sin, Verve, and Booty Call, which took a long time and I didn't even get through Verve. So I think I did really well considering how many eyeshadows I had. So I finished 9 eyeshadows this year. I hit significant pan on Dark Horse as well as Suspect and Verve. So to me, like these two combined, if I were to mix these together, it would be a little less than a full shadow. So it's like I finished an extra shadow in that case, but I don't count my shadows that way. So it doesn't count, but I just thought I would throw out there that even though I didn't finish more, I have significant pan in multiple of them. I think I'm happy overall with what I've done, especially with focusing on the Naked palette and getting the majority of that cleaned out. So that's my update. All of these are just going to sit in my collection. I'm going to continue to use Dark Horse, and if I make significant progress by the 1st, I will edit in a picture of what it looks like now. I'm not going to throw any of these out, but this one I'm still not sure what I want to do. I kind of just want to hold on to it like a trophy because this was my first high-end palette. But I'm also trying to stick with the original goal, which was to finish a palette and get it out of my collection. So I don't know about this one, but Toasted I feel really bad about because it's actually still really soft and good quality and pigmented. And there's nothing wrong with it. It's a really pretty eyeshadow. It's just not my taste anymore. And I feel like that's kind of how I feel about a lot of shadows in my collection. I have transitioned to being an all cool toned eye look kind of person. My goal for 2019 is actually not to pan anything, but to rotate through my collection and maybe pan something. I think it would be really good for me to spend a year using all of my collection, seeing what I actually want to use up and seeing what I would let expire, and then using that to inform how I declutter my eyeshadows, which I don't think I've ever done. Sometimes I'll trade makeup with my friends, but I've never done a real declutter. And then also let that inform whether or not I want to pan a palette in 2020, and if I do, what will that be? I can't think of anything more to say right now, so I guess it's a good time to end the video. Thank you so much for watching and for subscribing to me. I'm sorry I haven't been posting very much. Considering this is my first year of YouTube videos, I feel like I've done pretty good with like quality and editing. I just need to work on being more concise. And I appreciate everyone that watches my videos even though they're not that great. And I will see you in my next video. Bye.